Okay, let's have a look at this question then. Josh has some money. He uses 5/8 of his money to buy 10 cakes. With the rest of the money, he can buy 3 cakes and 9 cookies. A cake costs £4.50 more than a cookie. And the question we are asked is, how much money did he spend on cakes? Okay, so clearly we're going to be drawing a bar for Josh, and I really need not label it, I suppose, but right, and we're going to divide that into 8 equal parts because it talks about 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Right, so that's his money. That's all his money. And he uses 5/8 of his money to buy 10 cakes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that is 10 cakes. Okay, what leaps out immediately is 10 cakes is represented by 5 parts. So what I'm going to do is actually divide each of these parts. And if I'm dividing these up, I'm also going to divide up all the rest so that I can keep the parts equal. And I now know that each of these parts represents the money spent on one cake. Okay? All right, now what have we got? So that's where we are now. With the rest of the money, he can buy 3 cakes and 9 cookies. Okay, so we know that one of these new parts is a cake, so that's 1, 2, 3. So here we have, up to here is 3 cakes, and the rest is the money needed for 9 cookies. Okay, so here we have then 9 cookies. All right, and we have 3 parts representing 9 cookies. Well, 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. So each of these parts can buy 3 cookies. So if I further divide these, each of these smaller parts would represent 1 cookie. Okay, so this is 1 cookie. And I know what I would usually do. I always say is keep all my parts equal. I'm not going to do that on this occasion. This is just so I'm happy to leave those divided up there. Now, what are we told? We're told a cake costs £4.50 more than a cookie. I could work that out from here, but I think it would be nice just to draw another bar to show what's happening. So I'm going to draw. This represents cake, and this one underneath is going to represent a cookie. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to subdivide this one. Okay, so this is a cake-sized part divided into cookie-sized parts. And oh, there we go. That should be obviously a little bit further over. That represents the money needed for a cookie, and the difference is £4.50, which is these 2 parts, or actually 2 cookies, the money needed for 2 cookies. So what can we work out there? Well, £4.50 or 4.50 divided by 2 gives us 2 225, and that is one of these parts here. Okay, so we could put here 1 cookie is 225. So how much then is a cake? Well, we know that 2 of these parts is 450 and 1 is 225. So 450 plus 225 is 675. So 1 cake is 675. Okay, there we go, 675. Now, we come to the controversial part of this question, because we're asked, how much money did Josh spend on cakes? And the answer to that is really going to depend on whether you think he bought 10 cakes here or whether he bought 13 cakes. Now, I have to tell you that that in this household, which includes someone with a master's in English, teaching English, the decision was 13 cakes, but perhaps that just shows our proclivity for buying cakes, because it really hangs on this. With the rest of the money, he can buy 3 cakes and 9 cookies. Obviously, this represents a potential. And it's whether or not you think that potential was realized, and does that mean that he actually bought those cakes? I would be inclined personally to say that it does, and that would represent him buying the cakes most of the time. But it's arguable that he didn't. I just think that if he didn't spend the money, and to be clearer, it would have had could have. So if I was writing this question and I wanted for him to have just bought the 10 cakes and to say that the rest of the money could have been spent on 3 cakes and 9 cookies, that's the wording that I would have used. I don't know what the writer intended. So I'm going to give 2 answers, which of course would mean that I would get this wrong in a test, but there we go. So if 10 cakes, then the answer would of course be 675 times 10, which would give us 6750. And if 13 cakes, which is the vote of this particular household, 675 times 13 would give us the answer, which would then be £87.75. Okay, so that, I don't know. So is that our question, or is that our question? Okay, so 87.75 or 67.50. I don't know. Obviously, by putting 2 answers, I've got it wrong. But anyway, the point of this is to show you how to use the bar model. The English discussion can be yours. And at any rate, I hope this helps.